All right, Moors, let's go ahead and get started. Peace and love. Happy Holy Day. all, excuse me. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. If you are able to, please rise and face the east for the Moorish American prayer. Right? If this is your first time at a meeting, we rise facing the east, standing up straight, heels together, like you're standing on a square. So your feet are at a 45-degree angle, and we hold our arms up perpendicular, 2 fingers on the right, 5 on the left. We call this the cactus pose. And repeat after me. Allah.
Allah.
The Father of the universe.
Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night and by day. Through his holy prophet. Through Ali. Amen. All right, Islamism. I want to announce that this meeting is now open. Right, this is the Moorish Science Temple of America, Moslem Mission 30. First and foremost, we always rise and give the highest praise to the Most High, the creator of the universe, our Father, God, Allah. We also give honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality so that we may learn to love instead of hate. We give honors to the forerunner to the prophet, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, for preparing the way for purity and love. We also give honors to all the adept sheiks and all the faithful Moors that make up the grand body of the Moorish divine and national movement. We give honors to the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheikh by the Prophet.
Join the meeting.
E. Millie Ill. We give honors to the current Supreme Grand Sheikh, our brother K. Danville. Honors to the Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and honors to all the faithful Muslims on this call. Islam, Islamism. Brother Jackson Bey, would you please read the Divine Constitution and bylaws?
Islam. I rise giving perfect praise to Allah, and honors to the Prophet, Drew Ali, honors to my forefathers and my foremothers, honors to the Asiatic nations and the Muslims all over the world. Salvation, Allah, unity, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on the Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on the Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and descended unto his Father, God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and partial of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865, during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder, Moorish American prayer, Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America, home office of Noble Drew Ali, home office, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Islamism. Happy Holy Day, Muslims. Gratitude.
Sorry, didn't realize I was on mute. Happy Holy Day, Moors. Gratitude, Brother Jackson Bey. Brother Cole Bey, would you please read the writs of the prophet?
Islam.
Islam.
Arise and give honors to our great God Allah. Rise and give honors to the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Rise and give honors to all Muslims on attendance on this call and all Muslims on the planet. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, and on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenants of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans. They do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace, Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This instruction is from your prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful to your forefather divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now, but the weak can comprehend it not. Then the times are drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. And that is why many hearts have turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, least they will be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving. And they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I'm glad to know I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now about the same people of our side of the nation that claimed that I was a joke and unreal. But now, since they found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation, that all Ajax must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they'll work in every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that pay their divine respects to me and the movement will be remembered. That's why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finances so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Holy Day, Muslims.
Islamism and gratitude, brother, gratitude. Appreciate you. Before we move forward, I would like to ask for those that are new to this call, to our meetings, to please state your name and location. Right, I'll start with myself. I'm not new, but excuse me. My name is Lloyd Douglas L. I'm chairman and acting Grand Sheikh for Moslem Mission 30, Columbus, Ohio. We are the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Islam, I'm Sister Drew Douglas L., Columbus, Ohio, Mission 30.
Stacy Lachey, Cincinnati, Ohio, Mission 30.
Islam, Brother Jason Cole Bay, Temple 30, Dayton, Ohio.
Islam, Brother Jeffrey Seymour Bay, Mission 30, Columbus, Ohio. Peace.
Islam. Go ahead.
Islam, Nadine Johnson, Columbus, Ohio, Mission 30.
Islam, Brother Hakeem Malik Ali. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. I haven't officially signed any temple yet, but
Islam, Brother Child Bay, Jordan Child Bay, representing Temple 30 in Dayton, Ohio. Islam.
Islam, Jason Jackson Bay, Dayton, Ohio, Mission 30.
Islam, it's Howard X. Robinson. I was invited by H.A. DeBar. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Islam.
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 Islam, H.A. Jabbar. I'm a domiciled in Dayton, Ohio, resident or non-resident in Maryland.
Peace, Ross Davis L., Summit County, Akron, Ohio, Mission 30.
Islam.
All right, Islam.
Islam.
Islam, brother. Aren't you in PA?
Yes, sir.
Islam, brother.
Islam.
All right. I appreciate you, everybody. Thanks for chiming in. Okay, and today we will be going over chapter 47 in our Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. what we do on every Friday, we go over our Quran and we discuss it, and then we open the floor up to questions. So if you have any questions in general, not related to what we're speaking on, please hold them until after the discussion on chapter 47. For those that are reading along in your Quran, that's on pages 57 and 58. 57 and 58. Chapter 47, Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. All right, and chapter 47 is highlighting our Moorish American national history. It's also bringing to light our descent nature, which has been hidden from us, our true descent nature. And is very particular, speaking about us. It's starting in the ancient land of Canaan on throughout Egypt, all the way to present day America. And in this chapter is bringing light to our current state, with is people that have been denationalized, and then bringing in the purpose of the prophet and the Moorish Science Temple of America, which is to bring us back in alignment with our descendant nature, let us know who we are, right? So we're not wandering out in the wilderness. Okay, and we'll go ahead and read this and build on it. If anyone has any questions or any commentary, anything you want to add to the picture, feel free to speak up. All right. Islam, brother. Okay, so yeah, chapter 47, Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Africa, the first true and divine name of Africa. So, well, let me finish that. The dividing of the land between the Father and the Son. So in that verse 3, we're given some information. Remember, this was published in 1928. We're given information that we were not privy to. He says, then came the word Ethiopia. Ethiopia means the demarcation line of the dominion of Africa. So it's like a border. Ethiopia is not necessarily the name of a people, even though that had been applied to the entire Africa at one point. Islam, brother. Kobe.
Islam, I rise to give honor to great God, Allah, and the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I was just a little confused on 2 and 3. Ham is Cush's father, old man Cush's father. Islam?
Islam.
Okay. Islam.
All right. Islam. So in that, we're given the name, we're given the true meaning of Ethiopia, that this was a dividing line, right? Or that's what the term originally meant. Okay, I see another hand raised. Before we get to that though, Ethiopia also had a more ancient name, right? Islam, sister, I see your hand up. Islam.
Islam. First and foremost, I'd like to rise and give perfect praise to our Father God Allah. I also like to rise and give honors to his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and honors to all you beautiful Muslims on the call. I just wanted to exercise my 5 really quick and just to go back to our constitution and bylaws. This is the reason why Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that we are not Black, African American, or Ethiopian. And this took me back to our constitution and bylaws, because this right here explains why he said Ethiopian, because it's like, we don't call ourselves Ethiopian, right? It's like, who was calling us Ethiopian and where did that come from? And in our 101s, we go back and we see that Ethiopia means a land divided. So now we understand there was a division. And then if we go back, we do, like the brother just said, Ethiopia was the name for the whole entire continent of Africa. So there's some heavy science in this, Islam.
All right, Islam. Gratitude for sharing that. And, Ethiopia also had a more ancient name too. The people there called themselves Abyssinians. Ethiopia was called Abyssinia, right? Which the land that we present day call Ethiopia. But yeah, so as the sister was saying, this is a name, or not a name necessarily, but a word that meant the splitting, the dividing of land, like kind of like a border. But we're also given the first true and divine name of Africa, and that is a Mexim. Islam. I see we have another hand raised.
Islam.
Islam.
I wanted to put on the floor is one of the names of Egypt or Abyssinia was also Kush. Peace and love.
Islam, that's correct. I see we have another hand raised. Peace, brother.
Is the question was concerning a Maxim. Does anybody have any knowledge or understanding of where that name came from, or the dominion of Maxim? What were the kingdoms around that time? What were the pharaohs or kings or chiefs or what have you? That's the basis of the question. Islam.
Islam. I'll get to that right after this next question, Brother Jabbar.
I was going to share, you mentioned Ethiopia. Ethiopia was mentioned a few times, and we mentioned last week in our reading through Ruth, the Solomonic dynasty and the last emperor of Israel was the well-known Haile Selassie. And again, we come back to that term Ethiopia and saying that Ethiopia was more than just a country, but all of Africa. Again, as the sister says, some deep science in here. Israel there.
Islam. Gratitude for sharing. I want to go back to that question though about a Mexim, right? Because as it says here in our Holy Quran, verse 3, then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of a Mexim, the first true and divine name of Africa, the dividing of the land between the Father and the Son. So he's returning divine knowledge to us, the first true and divine name of Africa. All right, and so if we look for a Mexim, we look for this term, right, throughout history to try to see where is this associated with Africa. Maybe kind of difficult to find, but we've actually found some information. If you change the spelling up a little bit, you actually have Al-Maksin, A-L, I guess you could say A-L-M-A-K-H-Z-E-N, Al-Maksin, all right? And so Al-Maksin was actually an ancient governing body in Morocco and in Tunisia. And it was centered around the Sultan. And it's where you have the royals, the nobles, the businessmen, the landowners, the tribal leaders, right? All of the leadership, or all of the rulers, right? This is basically they would be referred to as the Al-Maksin, right? The ancient governing body. They were called the Al-Maksin, and it went out. It spread out from the Sultan, right? The Sultan, and out to the nobles, out to the different landowners, different chiefs, tribal leaders. They were referred to as the Al-Maksin. Okay, and as far as how old that term is, don't really know. Don't really know how old that term is, but this could be something that the prophet was actually referring to, right? And that was a term that was used from an Islamic perspective, right? So people in Africa, in North Africa, and West Africa were using that term to refer to the rulership, the governing, the chiefs, not just the Sultan, but everyone in that area, everyone in that arena, the chiefs, the tribal leaders, this body of leadership would have been referred to as the Al-Maqsim. Islam.
Islam.
All right. So that's one way of looking at it. Not saying that's the only way. Islam. Let me go back in here. The dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. Right. So we're talking about Cush and his father Ham. In the later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit Northwest Africa, they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking, new homes. And their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa, across the great Atlantis, even into the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so once again, we're being given our hidden lineage, that which has been almost removed from us, almost wiped off the planet. As well, for most of our people here in North America, as people who've been denationalized, classified as Negroes, now Black, African American, we're just descendants of West Africans, right? Which could be anywhere: Senegal, Nigeria, Mali, all of these different nations, different tribal lineages. It's just vast, right? And that's done for a reason. We're removed from the family of humans. And then that also defined the Negro as something that was less than humans, a permanent slave. But the main thing was they removed our connection to who we truly are. And so this is being given back to us. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit Northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, right? So it's still with us. We are still who our ancestors were, with the Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa, across the great Atlantis, even into the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake. So this is creating a timeline as well. We've been here in this hemisphere, compromising every North, South, and Central America, and including the Caribbean, all of that. And we've been here since before the earthquake, which caused the Atlantic Ocean. So this is letting it be known that we weren't all brought in chains on a slave ship, that we were even here before the Europeans, because our ancestors received permission from the pharaohs to inhabit this. Their dominion extended from northeast and southwest Africa over here. Why? Because this used to be connected. This was Northwest Africa. Okay, so this is how long we've been here. And this is important. We'll go back to this, but it's important. Our dominions being established. The river Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Right? Rivers are man-made. Also, the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt in those ancient days for trade. And it extends eastward from the river Nile, westward across the great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation. And that's also why they still have the, I guess you could say, underwater currents that are still flowing in the pattern, following whatever pattern the river was in, right? So when you travel across the ocean, like in the Atlantic Ocean, you pay attention to those currents so that you can sail faster, so that your boat can go faster and smoother by going along the current. So there's underwater currents that are still flowing in the direction of these rivers that were dredged. Okay. According to all true and divine records of the human race, there's no Negro, Black, or colored race attached to the human family, because it's a recent creation, right? We've talked about that in here before with the Negro Acts, the various Christian Black codes. These things created these terms that we're going by now, and they defined it as a permanent underclass, okay? Even in some ways, quasi-human, right? Detached from the human family. So according to all true and divine records of the human race, there's no Negro, Black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the holy land of Canaan. Okay, so we would not, you know, because I know some people, they're getting information, they're starting to realize that we weren't all brought over on slave ships, and now they're running with that. And that's okay, but we're not saying that we're not Africans. We're not saying that. Okay, we're saying that it's deeper than that. We're saying that what you would call Africa is so old that there was a worldwide kingdom. There was a kingdom or a worldwide empire, that our people have been global. Okay, and so going back in here, what your ancient forefathers were, you are today, without doubt or contradiction. Right? So no one can take this from us. You can't change that. We may have fallen from this, fallen away from our ways, but we still are that. And there is no one who's able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers unless his power extends beyond the great creator, Allah, the great universal creator, Allah himself. So it's impossible. Nobody can change who we are. We are who our ancestors were. We've just fallen from our ways. These holy and divine laws are from the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Uniting of the Moorish Science Temple of America. These laws, and remember at the top of each page, the pages in our Quran, it says the divine instructions from the holy prophet. These are laws. It's not just the divine constitution and the additional laws and things of this nature. These are laws. Our Quran questionnaire contains laws. Okay. Okay, so these laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that they will learn to open their meeting and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and create their own laws and customs. Okay, so we're given our true descendant nature. And then we're also, our society is being described to us. It's told who we are and who we aren't, why we aren't Negroes or Black. We can't be. And then this is who we truly are. And every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. I, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, was sent by the great God Allah to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways before that great and awful day, which is sure to come. The time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess his own. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honor not the creed and principles of their forefathers. And that's a powerful statement too, just putting the conditions that we're on us, right? But if we've been studying together, we know in the beginning of the Quran, our true nature is revealed. We know that Allah's in us. We know that nothing can truly hold us down or oppress us, because our true birthright is to be the Lord of the plane of manifest and even the plane of soul. We're creators. right? So we're not oppressed people. We're not descendants of slaves. They'll put that label on us quick. And some of us take it and run with it, descendants of slaves. How come Europeans aren't running with that tag, descendants of slaves? You know, if I start reading off just the accounts, historical accounts of Europeans being enslaved by dark-skinned people that look like us, it would take me like 2 or 3 hours just to go through all of the historical accounts that aren't talked about, but they're real and can't be denied. Okay? And they're not calling themselves descendants of slaves. All right. So through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honor not the creeds and principles of their forefathers. Who are our forefathers? They weren't slaves. They're the creators of civilization. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774, and the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father and strayed after the gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing. Okay, and we can see documented on the record, we can see laws being made in the 1700s defining the Negro, making sure that everyone that looked like us was getting pegged as a Negro and defining it as something that's less than. So that's undeniable. Okay, and we look at this, there's not a single word in here. The prophet's not playing word games. There's not a single word in here that's just thrown in here for no reason at all. All right. Just going back to verse 6, where the Moabites from the land of Moab who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit Northwest Africa. All right. The settlement is a contract. Settlement is a contract, the conveyance of an estate for the benefit of some person or persons. So settlements vest the property in trustees upon specified terms, usually for the benefit of the husband and wife during their joint lives, and then for the benefit of the survivor for life. So this is a contract. The Moabs received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt. The pharaohs of Egypt, their dominion extended all the way over here. Why? Because they had possession of this land since before the Atlantic Ocean existed. All right, so those words, settle and inhabit, that is the conveyance of an estate. We received permission, so this is now our estate. Okay, they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. That's a domain. This is our dominion. This is why this is chapter 47 is the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. Our dominions are being returned to us. This knowledge. This is the reason why people who are, I guess you could say, ruling over us have to use our customs, even in some ways flaunting these things in front of us, because we are the true possessors. And if they're using these things, if they're wearing our free national headdress, not knocking anyone or attacking anyone, but if they're doing these things and we're the true possessors of it, that means they're the custodians. They're holding it because we don't know that this is who we truly are. Okay? And so this information is being returned to us. And then we're also being given the tools and everything that we need to take back what's ours. But so the dominion, right? We're the dominion's given to us, and inhabitation. Inhabit is one who has domicile in a place and is an inhabitant of that place. And then dominion is an empire, domain. Okay? Have three definitions: direct dominion, or usufructarian dominion, and that's between the landlord and the tenant. Sorry, I can't really pronounce that word. Two is, it is to full property and simple property. The former is such as belongs to the cultivator of his own estate. The other is the property of a tenant. And then the third definition of dominion is acquired by the law of nations, and dominion acquired by municipality law or municipal law. And by the law of nations, property may be acquired by occupation, by accession, by commission, or by the use of permanency and the usufruct. All right, so it's powerful. Our dominion, our knowledge of our true dominions are being returned to us. Okay, so it extended from Northeast and Southwest Africa across the Great Atlantis, even to North, South, and Central America, and also the Atlantis Islands. So the words of that are powerful, and excuse me, the wording of that is very specific. All right, so we're being we're being returned our knowledge of the ownership, the true owners of this land. If you could say the humans own land, we're the true owners, and we're the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. Islam, I see Brother Kobe.
Islam. I just wanted to camelback a little bit on that, and a question too. If you really look into that, as far as us owning the land, when we do look at land, as far as us being Asiatic and Moors, do we go back to call the land what it was called before? Like, say any city, any county that has a municipality, when they say it was established at that certain amount of time, that meant it was something that went on to where they conquered the land. So I don't know, as far as court, would it be powerful to go back to the name that we called it before they conquered it? I was just wondering that. Islam, that was just like one of the questions we're talking about the land.
Islam, that's something that we can discuss and make happen on our own, isn't it? Because we're empowered to make and enforce law in our municipalities, in our areas. So for the purpose of getting what we need done, being able to communicate with people, the majority of our people wouldn't even agree with this or understand what we're saying. So it's like, yeah, we could use the word America so that you understand what I'm talking about. But it's it's no different than me saying Spain, but the people in Spain don't call it that. They say España, right? I think Germany in Portuguese is Alemán. When we say Germany in English, what do the German call their own country in German? Right. The only reason I know Portuguese is because I speak Portuguese. So okay, that's fine. Okay, I understand. Yeah, what America means for us, it's a Mexican. So yeah, we can use that term because this knowledge is being returned to us. But then it's something that we would have to make understood across the board, at least for ourselves, for us as Moorish Americans, so that there's no confusion of what we're talking about. But yeah, that's understood that people have different names for places, and we'll be versatile. You know how to communicate with people. Okay, they call this Estados Unidos. We know that means United States, right? So yeah, definitely. Like we can return to the ancient name, and as we grow in power and influence, that will become the name that is common, if that's what we desire. Right? But yeah, it's on us to teach this and to bring this information back to the forefront. Right? So that's powerful. What is the true and divine name of Africa? A Mexim. Okay? And then who are the people that ended up joining Cush and Ham? The Moabites from the land of Canaan. And then we're given their dominion. Northeast and Southwest Africa, across the Great Atlantis, even to the present North, South, Central America, also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake, which caused the Atlantic Ocean. And can't really put a time period on that if we're going off of the scientific estimates, like mainstream science, they're going to say that Africa split from the Americas around 200 million years ago. Right. So they're not denying that all of this used to be connected, but they're putting it way back. They call it the Triassic period. We don't know that it actually happened that long ago. It could have been more recent. All right. But we are given that time period because that places us here pre-Columbian, before European colonization. All right. And then the wording is used legally. This is our land. We possess it. This is our dominion. Islam, see another hand raised.
Islam, I just want to add, like the pale-skinned Europeans that we know today, they're not an ancient people, but they are, like you said, they're the custodians, the ones that are in power and the ones that are, like you said, wearing our fez in secret in lodges. And, you know, they talk about stuff like this. They know who we are, but it's not their job to tell us who we are. And that's why the prophet brought us this information so that we can come into our own and have our government. And the way he set it up is for us to have a society within a society. And it's possible. We see it happening right now. But what I wanted to say was, give me 1 second. Somewhere on my audio.
Islam. So while she goes to get whatever she was waiting on, just show this. I'm just showing this clip really quick, but basically, with this information being returned to us, this is the secret. This is the information that's being hidden. Who we truly are, our connection to the land. All right, and in many ways, this information is hidden in plain sight, right in front of us. Okay, but the wording that's used is very specific, right? Our dominions are returned to us. We're given a timeline which predates anyone else's possession of the land. I would say, how do you think that the Jewish people took Israel, right? The land that they call Israel now, and took possession of it, even though there were people who were already living there, right? The people that they call Palestinian. Okay, they're going off of their claim, their religious claim to their ties to the land, their connection to it. Okay, and we have our ancient dominion. We know that's Northeast and Southwest Africa and across the Atlantic, even to the present North, South, and Central America, Mexico, and the Atlantis Islands. And it predates the creation of the Atlantic Ocean, right? And so for us, that's powerful. And with the ancient name too, with the Mexam being given as the true name for Africa, that name is also being used in reference to Philadelphia here in North America. The ancient name for Philadelphia, what the Lene Lenape and these people were calling it, was Shechem-Exem. And Shechem-Exem was the meeting place of the eels. The meeting place of the eels. Now keep in mind that our people were calling themselves eels, Els and bays, but they pronounced it eel back in the prophet's time. They, I don't know why they pronounced it eel, but Shechem-Exem, which is present day Philadelphia, and Philadelphia was actually the first capital when the colonists formed the United States of America. But anyway, Shechem-Exem was the capital. our ancient capital over here in North America, and it was the meeting place of the ills or the kings, right? Where all the chiefs met. This is where all the kings met. And even in those areas where they went to congregate to make laws or treaties, whatever they needed to work on, where all the chiefs from different regions came to meet, this is where they eventually formed the Continental Congress. This is where they formed the first capital. So if you ever go to Philadelphia, where they have all the historical stuff downtown in those key centers, that's always been a meeting place of power for our people. Okay, and that area, that city, was called Shechem-Mexem, where the sheiks of Mexem came to meet. Okay, and that's something that you can also look up on your own, but not making that up. Just trying to put it in a different perspective, because no one else is gonna really talk about it like that in reference to us, because this information is being hidden. Okay, but we know who we are now, and we can move in our proper person. I see hand raised again.
Islam, pardon the body about that glitch. But what I was gonna say was the Palestinian Europeans, they're not an ancient people. So in order to fit their agendas, they changed our stories and they changed the name of things. And it just has us, in a tizzy when it comes to information like these ancient stories and documents that we're finding today. A lot of people are like, oh, that don't make no sense. As our people, they won't accept the truth because they've been lied to for so long, and they accept the lies as the truth. Islam.
Islam, gratitude. I see Brother Jabbar hand raised.
Yes, sir. I took notice on number 7 and 8, where it talks about the dominion, of course, North, South, Central America, and also Mexico. And then it talks in number 8, it talks about the River Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. And so, going back to the prophet saying that it's so necessary to preach economic security, this was about business, and our history that we're uncovering, as you pointed out, that the Mississippi River, up and down the Mississippi River, was where many of the Moors had trading houses and cities and houses of knowledge and things of that nature. And there was trade going up and down the Mississippi, just like we're on the port of Cincinnati, where the Ohio meets the Mississippi. There was, and is trade still going on interports today. So back to that maritime law, as well as just the fact and the necessity of doing business.
Islam, gratitude, and that's correct. And one of the names for, or nicknames for, the Mississippi River is the Old Man Now.
I never heard that. Say it again.
Old Man Now.
Interesting.
But there's a song called Old Man River where they're talking about the Mississippi. But yeah, I guess that's a country thing, but yeah, that's one of the nicknames, Old Man Now. And then along the Mississippi River, you have a city called Memphis. That's where I grew up. And a little bit up the river from Memphis, you have Cairo, Illinois, and several other areas as well. Like Southern Illinois is known as Little Egypt, and it's been known as Little Egypt for the longest. Islam. And that's why we have a pyramid still in Memphis. They built a pyramid about 30 years ago, right there on the river. All right, but it's important to have this information and to move on it, with the prophet returning this to us, right? Okay, if we look at the U.S. Constitution in Article 6, it says. Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, it says, all debts contracted and engagement entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be valid against the United States under this Constitution, as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. Right? So this is letting it be known that they are bound, okay, by this. All right. All we have to do is claim our free national name and religion and come together within our nation as who we truly are. Okay, our dominions are given here. Our true name, our true line of descent, and all of these things were stripped, were hidden from us. But we know who we are now, and we're not asking for anyone's permission. Right? We're not going and hoping that other people believe us. No, we have something that was divine, meaning of or from God, right? Returned to us. And so this is what we can move off of, possibly or potentially to get redress for some of the things that were taken from us. Okay? And they're bound by this, right? In the Constitution, even things that predate the creation of the Constitution. Even things that predate and treaties and things that predate the creation of the United States, right? All debts contracted and engagement entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be valid against the United States under this Constitution. Okay, so the Prophet established an Islamic nation state for us and prepared our free national Constitution and laws for us to come into. Why? We had been removed from that. We were lawless. The European gave us a religion. He gave us good Christian names, right? And he civilized us. Even though, while he's telling this story, this tale, this Negro tale, like, let me paint this picture. So in the 1700s, they're creating laws and acts. They're passing these laws that define the Negro, that pigeonhole it into this quasi-human category. And then they're making the case that we are bringing them into our society. We're educating them. We're civilizing them. We're giving them a religion because they're savages. But just 50 years prior to that, they were over here and we're the ones who taught them how to run society. Right? The Constitution, all of these things are based off of our laws, how we ran things. Okay, so they flipped that on us. And that's also why it's very difficult, maybe impossible, to really get any progress as Black people, because this is something that they created. But we're going back before that. We predate all of that. As Moorish Americans, this is all ours. We created this. Our ancestors civilized you. We gave you the knowledge of geometry and all of these things, right? And so that's why we have this in verses 1-8. It's an ancient testimony of the transference of title to land rights that belong to who? Moorish Americans. Because we are the true possessors and the founders of the present Moroccan Empire with our Asiatic brethren. And then verses 4-6, they tell us how the title was transferred between the two parties. Who are the two parties? The assigners are the pharaohs of Egypt, who were the Inhabitants and their direct descendants of Misraim, and the assignees are the Moabites from the land of Moab, who are called this day Moorish Americans. All right, so the pharaohs were the executive rulers of the land at that time. And we have an ancient transfer of title. We are the true possessors. Okay, and so with this being returned to us now, this gives us more reason to pick ourselves up, to be who we truly are, right? We don't feel like we don't own anything over here. we know that this is ours. And also, we have a footing to stand on by standing in our true identity instead of standing in something that was created to keep us disconnected from that. Whereas no matter what we say, it's like, no, this is what you are. You are descendant of slaves from somewhere in West Africa. Somewhere. Ain't nobody claiming us. Even though I acknowledge that countries like Ghana, they opened up, I guess you can get dual citizenship and things of that nature. It's symbolic, but you don't have any true connection. Okay. As a Moorish American, though, you do. Over there as well as over here. Okay. And this is the only way. This is the way for our salvation. I would say it would be extremely difficult to continue to fight from a position that was created to take advantage of us, right? They created Black people, Negroes, to keep us disconnected from who we truly are, right? So, why try to box like that with your hands tied behind your back? Okay, this takes us back before the great earthquake, which caused the Atlantic Ocean. Now, they'll say that was 200 million years ago. This could have been 10,000 years ago. Why 10,000? Because 10,000 years ago, you had people, describing floods, describing cataclysms. You have Plato giving the oral history of Atlantis sinking. He didn't make it up. He, like all the other philosophers from Greece and Rome and these civilizations, they were getting it from Egypt. You had the ancient people who are called the Olmec now. They have their own tale. In the Troano stone, the Troano manuscript, which is basically a book, a scroll that tells a historical account of cataclysms occurring where lands are sinking under the water, rising above the water. The people who were there witnessed it in a society that was so ancient. These are the pyramid builders over here in Central America. They described it. And then the Troano stones actually in a museum somewhere in London. So they witnessed this happen. Okay, so yeah, it was a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago. They witnessed it and wrote it down in hieroglyphs. And those are our people because we've been over here that long. And this is what connects us to that. Okay, and that's also why you see in that culture, they were wearing turbans and even fezzes. All right, so this is extrinsic evidence of the location of our boundary lines. We have a conveyance of title. All right, and this is coming from the Hall of Records in Egypt. All right, and that's why the prophets also given us the ancient reason for the creation of the rivers, because those are water boundaries. Those are Allah's natural fences for separating the nations and the tribes. So when the title calls for natural waters, that's when you're given the location for the governing lines, right? Wherever you have, this is also just describing possessions. Okay, so this is being returned to us, and this is key. This is why this is our law. Okay, this is law. And we're given that knowledge, and then we're also given the knowledge of who we are and how our societies are run, right? These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We're empowered to create our own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet of the Grand Temple and the Grand Temple, Islam. So this, our customs, our ancient customs are returned to us. Many of the ancient societies, especially in Egypt, they had the same thing that we have. Egyptian society, ancient Egypt would have been a theocratic monarchy. We have a constitutional theocratic monarchy. In ancient Egypt, you had the pharaoh, the paheru, but the people who really ran things were the priesthood. And the priesthood class were called Moors. Moors or Maor. They'll spell it Maur, right? But the ancient Egyptians, they didn't have vowels. It was just Mr. They were Moors. That was the terminology for the priesthood class. Excuse me? Yeah, I think the ancient word for pyramid is mir or mur, something like that. Okay. So yeah, it's powerful. I'll go ahead and close on that. If anybody else has any questions or any commentary they want to add to this, feel free to speak up. I yield the floor. Islam. All right, Islam. Um, but just one thing, to take from this though is that our true descent natures return to us, right? Who our forefathers are, and they were basically the creators of civilization. Our ancient and true dominion is returned to us, which encompasses all of this land that we're possessing. Like right now, we just inhabit it. We live here, but we don't possess it. We're not in possession of it. But this is all ours. Okay. And then we're well, it's reiterated that this label that we're running with, even African American, it's something that was created from outside of us. So Negro, black, colored, these were created in the 1700s, and it can't describe who we truly are. It disconnects us from who we truly are. And the society, that the nation that the prophet created, was so that we can step back into who we truly are, come back into our own laws and customs. And then once we organize and move as a unit, we can seek redress for these things. Okay. And maybe that's what some people feared. And that's why they hide this information. But it was inevitable that it was going to happen. They didn't think it was possible, but it happened. All right, it's back. This information is back, and we can't forget this. We can't go back to sleep now. Islam. So on that note, I'll yield the floor. If anyone has any questions in general, whether it's related to that chapter or not, feel free to speak up. I yield the floor.
Peace. I got a question. Is there like a protocol, say, like, like how in the Bible is like, hey, if you feel like your brother wronged you and you went to your brother to tell him, and he's like, yeah, whatever, and then you go back to him again with a witness or something like that. Is it something like that in the temple?
So you're just talking about like how we conduct ourselves amongst each other if somebody wrongs us?
Yeah, like I guess conflict resolution type deal.
Yeah. I'm gonna say it should be in here, but even if it's not in the Holy Quran, then we could go to the Quran of Mecca and find redress for that, because we are Muslims. But just off the top of my head, nothing's coming to me exactly about how to go about addressing something like that.
Islam, we will go to our leadership, who's the grand sheikhs and government, the temple heads of all temples, and we'll pretty much hold court, Islam, because we are a government.
Yeah, Islam. So yeah, I mean, regardless, we're gonna have the answer because, we have the Quran as well that all Muslims all over the world refer to. So, um, we could refer to that as well. Islam.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions or any statements? Okay. All right. Well, Islam, if there's no questions or statements, we're going to go ahead and go into the closing of the meeting. Right. Brother Seymour Bay, would you please read the divine warning?
Islam, Sheikh.
Islam.
First, I rise and give praise to the Most High, Father God Allah. I give honors to His Holy Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and to the forerunner to the Prophet, our brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I give honors to all the members of the Grand Body, the Moorish Science Temple of America, and to all you faithful Muslims on the call. Islam. A divine warning by the Prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to the National Constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to that state of mind, to their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine national movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government, and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they're glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Money doesn't make the man. It is the free national standards and power that makes a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone, and without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I'm hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. I'm depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. I love my people, and I desire their unity and mine back to their own free national and divine standard, because day by day, they have been violating the national constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issue and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro deludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word colored deludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizen of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendments brought the North and the South in unit placing the Southerners, who were at that time without power, with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was enforced since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. So there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come, because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people, and this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do herein believe that this administration of the government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorment, in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they have fought the Southerner for all these great misuses, but I have traveled in the South, and I have examined the conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into marvelous light. From the prophet, Islam, Islam, Islamism. Peace.
Islam, gratitude, brother. Back to what the brother David Sell was asking about. One thing that didn't say was that when we have issues, though, we can bring it to our leadership, local leadership. The sheiks, like, are supposed to be the chiefs. Okay, the grand sheik is the chief. So basically, we hold court within our society to deal with one of our own, for whatever purposes, whatever reasons. And we're empowered to make and enforce law, right? The temple's not supposed to just not knock in the church, but it's not supposed to just be just a church, right? This is where our government lies, okay? Because we have a theocratic monarchy, theocratic society. So we will bring them forth in our society, and we make the decisions on how to address the matters. Islam. All right. Okay. Additional laws for Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1, Grand Sheiks and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Before acting upon by any members, let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finances, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under a heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheik. Act 2, all members are to attend their ADUP meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3, it is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation And if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4, all members while up making a public speech must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5, all members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guidance of the nation. Act 6, with us all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. This is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and become industrious, and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God, Allah. All right. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. If you're able to, please rise and face the east for the closing prayer. You do not need to repeat after me. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name in the 7 Elohim. Amen.
Amen.
Islam, Islam, Islamism. This meeting is now adjourned. Right.
Peace and
Happy
love,
Holy
family.
Day. Happy Holy Day, boys.
Happy Holy Day.
Peace
Happy
and
Holy
love.
Day.
Happy holiday.
Happy Holy Day.
Peace
Peace
and
and
love.
love.
Safe.